Good morning, everyone, or good evening, wherever you are in the world today. This is Romola D. This is Romola D Reports, and I'm here this morning with Jack Christiana, or John Christiana, as we variously know him. John Christiana is a very well-known figure in the entire civil rights, targeted individual activist movement. And I'm going to go through a little bit of a bio for him so people understand his enormous accomplishments. One of the extraordinary things about Jack Christiana is he has set a world mountain climbing record, which is explained on his website, sevencontinentsummits.com. And he believes that this is one of the reasons he was unfortunately chosen to be illegally and wrongfully targeted, because his record upset the current world-renowned mountain climbers holding the record. And his particular record was climbing the seven summits, which is apparently the highest mountain on each of the seven continents, all on first attempt from 2003 to 2006. And that's just absolutely stunning to me, that he's, a mountain climber of such great expertise. So John Christiana is from the California area, and he's currently engaged in working on some very successful litigation attempts that he is going to be speaking about during this conversation. Um, the work that he's been doing, because he has a background in legal issues, is actually quite remarkable. Jack obtained his Bachelor of Science degree from California State University in Long Beach in 95. He was a marketing director from 95 to 96 to 2008. He earned a Master of Science degree in Legal Studies from Kaplan University, now Purdue University, after discovering he was being targeted. Went on to law school at Concord Law School for 2 years, where he studied criminal law and procedure, torts, contracts, federal civil procedure, and constitutional law in order to prepare for the legal fight against targeting. And currently, he's got a few lawsuits open against Orange County, California, against Huntington Beach Police Department, and against Targeted Justice, a civil rights organization in which he was closely involved. So hopefully we are going to be touching on all aspects of these lawsuits. So welcome, Jack. I'm so glad that you are here and prepared to speak openly about the work that you've been doing, and
Sure.
also, inform people about the outcome of some of your previous work. Because it seems like the work that you've been doing is actually producing some public ripple effects, right?
True.
So,
That's true. Thank you for having me, Romola. Um, yes, when I first found out I was being targeted back in 2007, who knows what route you want to go, but I finally figured out we have to go. I have to learn law, so that's when I got my master's degree in legal studies, and I went on to law school, and so we are going to expose this thing. It's going to happen, but there's a procedure to it, and I was like everyone else. I thought it would happen like so fast, but no, we got to build a foundation, and that's what I've been doing. I've been for years and years and years now. I've been building the foundation, confident, we will reach the point where it's exposed, and then therefore ends as we know it. So so like I said, I did all the schooling. I kind of regrouped, and so I did the master's and the legal and the law school, and then I finally decided, you know what, it's time to confront. And so I started sending out emails, and I went to city council meetings, and I talked about it. And what happened is they sent a police officer and a mental health employee, as we all think of, that's what they do. That's what they did, to my door. And this was in 2017, and they every month they came by, and it was so they finally one time. Then I filed on January 19, 2017. I filed my first federal lawsuit, and I named them, and they weren't real keen on that. And I also named the city of Huntington Beach and the city of Laguna Beach and Orange County. They're both within Orange County. And then less than a month after I filed that lawsuit, there was drugs planted in my room, and what appeared to be crystal meth. I called the police, and first I called some friends and family to let them know what I'm doing here, because I'm gonna have the police come to my home. And they came over, and actually the first guy called on a second guy. His name, second guy was Kyle Molloy, was his name, police officer of Laguna Beach. He was an expert on drugs, and so he looked at it and says, yes, it could be drugs. And so, but anyway, so they left it there, and I wanted to test it. Well, anyway, but then that same day, actually, this police officer and this mental health employee came to my door. I wasn't home, and they put a key in the door, because I have all kinds of surveillance, and I had audio surveillance by the door. You can hear the key go in the door. You know, click, 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 that swish, and then a neighbor came out. You can hear, and distracted him, and they left. And so I kept it on me because they were trying to go into my residence. So I put it into, I had it in my bag, and I want to test it. I want to find out I want to make sure it's real. And I watch those police shows where they, you can test it, right? It turns a certain color or something. So I kept it on me, and a week later, so that was February 14, 2017. A week later, on February 21, I'm at Huntington Beach to speak at a city council meeting. I have it in a bag, protected, but it's just like, who cares? It's just there, right? And then they lied, and they said I was in a closet, and I wasn't. And then they detained me for half an hour, and they kept asking to search my bags, and I had the stuff in there, and because I was holding it until I get a test kit. By the way, I got a test kit from Amazon. It's on my Amazon order kit, order sheet, order history, and I got the package came in the mail. It was the wrong package, so I had to keep it on me. What are the odds of that? But anyway, so I had two different police departments, Laguna Beach and Huntington Beach, as well as Orange County, involved in and they've never done it in my entire life, but they both did it in that 1 week period that this meth was in my possession, that was planted. They never did get to it. I'm the one that reported it. Huntington Beach, when they detained me, I went home and I just flushed it. So I'm not gonna hold on to it. It's just like that,
You're back on. Can you just repeat the last part of what you said? You said, you're not going to hold on to it. A little bit of the context there was lost.
Yes. So 1 week, I had two police departments within 1 week try to detain me, try to get to it, so on the Huntington Beach one, once they did that, I went home and I flushed it. It wasn't worth saving onto. It wasn't worth saving it, because it's it's not worth the chance. But anyway, so now, but see, finally, and by the way, you can't necessarily sue a county or the city for the going to your door, which is harassment kind of. They have immunity, but in both cases they made a mistake, and that's what you wait for. You wait for a mistake when they get caught trying to trying to get into your door, or they detain you wrongfully. And that's when I had the litigation. So, and I have the litigation is current with Orange County and with Huntington Beach. And so the Huntington Beach one actually is in the Court of Appeals. I have a really good case. I won a motion on that one. It's a really good one. The judge was totally agreed with me on everything. I won the motion. We got into discovery. I caught the police chief in perjury. He changed the story, why he detained me. First he said I was in the closet, then he said, well, maybe I was near the closet. So he changed the story, and it's a whole long story, but that one is still current. And then the Orange County one is very interesting. Go ahead.
I should remind people that you've gotten police video, right? You have camera footage.
And then Huntington Beach one it was so worth the lawsuit. It's still active. It's still current. I did discovery, correct? Because I won that first motion, and then I got into discovery. And yes, I got I think it's 7 minutes, seven or 8 minutes of the actual detainment from the police belt cam. They have the little cams on their belts.
It's amazing. Yeah,
I've seen all of those videos. And you can see me during the detainment. And I know this drug's planted. They probably know, but not officially. See, and by the way, I forgot that was in there, but they kept asking it, and they smiled at me like, "You sure you don't have any drugs?" And then it hit me. Oh my gosh. The stuff that I'm holding for testing, and it's just they knew all along, probably. Yeah, and because that's how it went. That's how I remembered is what they kept asking, and with their smirk, and but anyway, it was great. So I got this video because through discovery, and otherwise they went to my mom's house, by the way, a couple of days later, and and they would have said all kinds of stuff, but they would have said, oh, Jack was not not cooperative, and Jack was going off and this, that, I'm sure. But now, no, I have the video, which of course I sent to my family. I sent to everyone, the community, and it'll be on a website. And you can see on there how I was calm, cooperative, except I said, no, you can't search my stuff, which of course is a constitutional right. And by the way, and that one's in the Court of Appeals, and they did pretty well the whole 2 years, almost 3 years during litigation. But on this latest thing, on the most important one with the California Court of Appeals, they did their respondents brief, and they made so many mistakes, huge mistakes. And I just tore them apart in my reply brief. And I will have a website up soon on this, and I will post their respondent brief, and I'll post my reply brief. I'll put it all on there. Everyone can see for yourselves. These are filed in court. Actually, the oral argument isn't for another 6 months because of COVID-19. They delayed it to like at least 6 months. They haven't even scheduled it yet, but They're telling us it's got to be a while. And that's going to be so much fun because they really messed up. So. But anyway, yeah, it was good to get the video to show that, no, I was calm and, collect. I was not acting nuts like they probably were trying to claim. So, yeah, there's that. On the Orange one, and then we went on, and then just about 6 months ago, they filed another motion to try to get it dismissed. And they also, in this motion, trying to get it dismissed, they were trying to discredit me, like they do, And I was involved with other organizations, but they didn't use those. They didn't use any other civil rights organizations. For the targeting community I'm involved in. They used targeted justice, which of course I had already left. We'll get to that in a moment. I'd already left targeted justice, and but that's what they did. And by the way, that motion, I'll put that motion on the internet too. You can read it. You can read it for yourself, verbatim. I won't make any changes to it at all. And they tried to say I was with targeted justice, and they included one of Richard Lighthouse's graphs, and they were just saying I was involved with this. And of course I wasn't. So I did my opposition and just tore them apart. And then just before the hearing, they continued the hearing, which is very uncommon. And then before the next hearing, they withdrew their motion. They actually, it's called, and I can share that one. It's called withdrawal of motion, which is very unusual to withdraw a motion. Why would they do that? Let the judge decide. You have a chance maybe, right? But that's how embarrassing it was for them. They withdrew it. They didn't want that in the records, I guess. And
that's really
but it's still filed in court.
And this is with Orange County, right?
This is the law firm representing Orange County. Yeah. So I won 2 motions with them, and Orange County is the 5th biggest county in the United States. It's a pretty big county, and so I know from one of the lawyers told me 2 years ago the supervisors wanted this dismissed right away, and here we are 2 years later. And so I finally got around to, just because I'm busy, I finally got around to doing discovery just in February for the first time. And I sent that to the law firm, and having this mental health employee, his name is William Crittenden, and as well as Orange County, the official representing Orange County has to also respond to it. I asked them questions about targeting. Now I asked them about the break-in, the key, and I asked them about targeting. I asked them, why were you doing this? Why were you and then a few weeks later, the director retires. He resigns to go to somewhere else. They get a new director that had been there for a long time.
That's the top Orange County public health official.
Okay.
In charge of the COVID-19 testing effort, abruptly resigns and retires.
There it is. And this is just, look at that, April 23, 2020. So the second guy resigned, and nobody can figure it out. You can Google, there's all kinds of articles, and the Orange County supervisors can't figure it out. The CEO, his name is Frank Kim, he can't figure it out. They're all disappointed, and they said they can't figure it out. They don't know why he resigned. He didn't resign. The second guy retired to spend more, this guy here, he retired to spend more time with his family during the height of the COVID-19. But I happen to know that they just received my discovery on targeting, and they have to answer questions. Right. And they have to answer questions under oath.
Yes, and you had sent on a document, I recall, Jack, that was all about special interrogatories, right? And you were actually
special interrogatories.
Thank you. So you were sending particular questions their way, right? Very specific.
So very pointed. I remember in law school, which I have not finished yet. I went for 2 years, and I even have CDs I need to watch. I can get better. No question about it. I can get better in constitutional law and everything, and I will. but I remember in my second year, there was some questions and on some little test, and then it was talking about interrogatories. And for the first time, I learned about interrogatories. What are those? And it's just like it wasn't until then I learned that you can send them written questions. So just for the price of a stamp. Deposition you can do as well, which are very effective because deposition you put them on the spot and you can record it, and so you ask some questions. But that might cost, with the court reporter there and the videographer or whatever, it might cost, $400, $500. It's not too bad. But interrogatories are price of a stamp. And so that's what you do. You send those questions, and that's what I did. And I asked them about targeting, and they have to answer under oath within 30 days. And if they don't, then you go to the court and compel them to answer the questions and explain to the judge why they're relevant. And So
what happened? Did you get responses?
No, I have not yet because of COVID-19. The court's been closed. So the law firm has, we've been emailing. The law firm said that they don't have to, they said they will respond, but they don't have to until the court opens back up. And so which it has not done yet, pretty soon, I think. I'm looking forward to those responses. And,
But after you had sent that document, sort of shortly after is when these resignations rolled out, right?
Yeah. Now, William Crittenden, who's the mental health employee, he has to answer the questions. But the Orange County, I sued Orange County as well because he's an employee. That person depends on who's in charge, who's has that position. So if somebody resigns, then they're not obligated to answer those questions. It'll be the next person, the new person. It's the first time I have litigation with the county, so I'll be finding out how they do that exactly. But
I see.
So
that's interesting. So you may have to send it again if you want some answers.
Oh no, right? They're going to answer. They said they'll respond. They'll respond.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah, they'll respond, but they're going to wait until the court opens up, and everything's been put off. The hearings put off. The trial's been put off till next year. Everything because of COVID-19. I got official things in the mail. So that's good. That's really good. And so that's what with me. I know some people said I am an advocate of confront. Of course we have to confront this.
I'm sorry, Jack. You got totally broken up.
And
could you just repeat that particular bit? I'm sorry.
I am a. Yeah, it says okay. I am a big advocate of confronting, obviously. If we don't confront, we're never going to expose this thing and therefore win, get our rights back, get our lives back. And so for them to declare you mentally ill, and two is you have to be a danger to yourself or others. No control over the first prong, so let him have that, right? Because we're going to speak up. We're not going to just keep to ourselves to avoid the first prong because then nothing ever happens. That's what they want. No, we're going to speak up, and so let him say you're crazy. I actually got a PET scan, a positron emission tomography scan that shows I'm not crazy. And by the way, that's by a California licensed medical doctor, so it holds weight. It's already been accepted. I already have that accepted into multiple courts. I actually won a case. I didn't go into that one, a defamation case. I actually won a defamation case in the lower court based on that scan. And, but anyway, but who cares about the first prong? It's the second prong we control. So just never be a danger to yourself or others. So never make any threats. So luckily I have a built-in buffer. And one time when that police officer, Jason Ferris, came to my door, and I can't believe you're here again. And he had his Orange County sidekick with him. And I got right in his, I don't recommend this necessarily, but I did it. I'm saying I got right in his grill. And I said, you're going to get sued for the rest of your life. And he took it really well. He goes, well, if I might as well keep harassing you then. He was actually kind of funny. But I had no fear. And because you have to emphasize you're not a danger to yourself or others. You're going to sue him. You're going to put him on the internet. You're going to do all these legal recourse. And so as long as you do that, and see, he had a witness there, so it was good. So I'm glad he had a little Orange County mental health employee with him as a witness. It was a new one, by the way. The first one where they did the burglary thing with the key, that one, after I reported it, they took him off. So they gave Orange County put a new person on. And but so she was there, the new person. Anyway, so yeah, we
So,
we have
so
to
actually,
confront.
yeah, Jack, I think that's brilliant, actually, particularly with mental health, because it seems like what's going on is so wrongful. You know, this kind of targeting is going on across the country, across the world, literally. And when people who are wrongfully targeted, being, you know, their lives taken down, blacklisted, character assassinated, you name it, vandalized, sabotaged in every way, losing their jobs, and then being hit with directed energy weapons as well, and being tagged and stalked and community monitored and policed, and lots of stories told about them in the community. And when they actually make any kind of complaints, you've got mental health community officials knocking on your door, which is outrageous. So this thing about confronting mental health, I think, is a huge deal. So it's pretty brilliant that you did that.
Thank you. And by the way, and I need to make time for it. I'm going to contact the California. I'm not even sure what it's called, the California Mental Health Agency, whatever it is. And I'm going to report all this stuff that's happened. And then I have my PET scan to prove that I don't have an illness. It shows normal brain. And the doctor wrote a report. Normal brain. And so I'm going to say, here's what they did. They say I'm crazy because I reported targeting. And then here I have proof now that I'm not crazy. So you need to update your guidelines. And that's what we need to start doing, contacting the agency. And I'm going to do it. And by the way, and to file a complaint on them, because I say it right away, because you have in California, you have 7 years, and it's approaching 7 years, my statute of limitations on that. So I'm going to get that done. But yeah, we need to start contacting them and letting them know. That's another.
Absolutely. And this is one of the reasons I wrote up my, 10-step checklist for psychologists, for doctors, for law enforcement, or anybody in ER. If somebody comes into ER, somebody comes to the police and reports covert implantation, reports being assaulted with EMF energy weapons, then, they need to understand that these weapons do exist, that they are being tested, and that, they can, instead of going to mental health, they need to provide services, to people. They need to get surgeons and radiologists involved, and they need to start testing these people for implants and help remove them.
Right. And I know many people have gone to the hospital and stuff. I have myself. I've been to the hospital 4 times. I went to emergency. One time when they were shocking my eyes, it was like a fireworks. It was like the grand finale fireworks. It was just my eyes were just shut, and my private parts and stuff for hours and hours. And one time I went on Facebook and I just did some posts on it, whatever, and then it stopped. It was amazing. So, but other times I've gone to emergency, and on that twice, I've also gone to emergency on pain in my chest that was unexplained, and it went on for days. And another time it was my shoulder, my right shoulder, and all 4 times with this unexplained, shocking and pain and stuff. All 4 times, I never told them about targeting. I'm at a medical hospital. Let's let them find a medical explanation. So I don't need to tell them what I think. But guess what? All 4 times, they never found any medical explanation. So there you go. That's almost evidence of the targeting. They could find evidence. And on the shoulder, when I told her the symptoms, she said rotator cuff. That's rotator cuff. Then they do an X-ray, not rotator cuff. So,
oh my gosh,
it's
also evidence of their negligence, because they're not really covering it as a medical phenomenon in itself.
So we're building the foundation. We're building the foundation, and whether it's I have the website www.targetedevidence.com, and on that one I'm going to update it. We have so much good evidence and that's like court admissible evidence. Then I'm going to have my own website with my stuff, and both are going to be very effective.
Fabulous. I think reporting your own evidence is great. So would you recommend, you're recommending that others do?
People do their own websites.
So people need to create their own websites and post their own photographs, their own videos, that kind of thing.
Yeah, their own evidence on there, because if you, I have written emails to, I have an email list of 2,500. I've heard back from the Prime Minister of Hungary, and I've heard back from various people, but most people are not going to read it. If you write some 6-page email, most people are not going to read it, right? We don't have time for 6-page emails. So that way you write an email and just like a half a page, and you just have links to your website. So
and then who do you send it to?
Send it out to them, and they'll go. It's more likely. I have the emails of all the city council members of the counties where I live, hundreds and hundreds. probably 1,000. I have New York, Los Angeles. It's all on the internet, and I have all these emails, and governors and senators and representatives and human rights groups and media, New York Times, Los Angeles Times, all
Brilliant.
over the country. And then I went into foreign. When a few years ago, when Obama went to the G20,
Mm-hmm.
is it G20 or is it NATO? I think it was NATO. When Obama went to NATO, I think it was a Wednesday. I heard he's going to NATO Thursday. I said, I got to get this. So I went on the internet and I got everyone's emails, all the NATO countries. I think it's 32 or 28. All the NATO countries. I got their emails. I wrote up a letter and I sent it out. And that's when I heard back from the Prime Minister of Hungary.
That's brilliant. So that's when you heard back.
Like,
okay.
And in Pakistan wrote back to me. Pakistan wrote back. Pakistan, because that was one of my best to get responses back. Pakistan wrote back, said thank you for that. We've taken note. And so I just want the truth out there to the world. I don't want the United States to be able to cover this up.
That's brilliant, Jack. And maybe that is also a kind of action that everyone else can emulate, looking at your example. Just sort of keep flooding these quote-unquote world leaders, highly questionable really they are, but flood their inboxes with some information and keep them informed and make demands for change, because this is outrageous. It's happening around the world. These guys know it. They know perfectly well it's happening. They've authorized it, right? They've permitted this to happen. They've sanctioned it. So my degree at Long Beach State is marketing. And marketing, you learn about, there's you can go if you want a product on the store shelves, you can go to the store manager and ask them to put it on the store shelves and so forth. But in marketing, you learn there's also something called pull marketing, and you create a demand for it. And so you go to buyers and you have the buyers call the manager, and now the store manager is calling you, hey, we want your product. You learn that in marketing. Well, we can do the same thing. So we need to use all angles, and I've compared this to like General Schwarzkopf when he 1992, I think, when he did that. You go from all angles, and so that's what I'm going to be doing. And by the way, when we do these, I'm going to mix everything up. It's not going to be parallel tracks. It's going to be, when we do lawsuits, then you do the lawsuits on your website, and you send that to the emails, and you speak at county supervisor meetings and city council meetings, and you do private meetings, do everything all at once, and you mix everything in, and that's going to have the best effect, so yeah, that's pretty brilliant. So you've got a sort of multi-pronged approach. You're attacking this from many, many fronts. So, and it looks like your efforts are sort of yielding response in many, many different areas. So that's pretty brilliant, Jack. So you feel very hopeful about these two lawsuits, I understand. Is there anything in particular you want to speak about regarding those two before we move on to the other lawsuit, which I think many people are very, very interested in hearing more about, the one on targeted justice?
No, that's pretty much it. And the Orange County is still active. The Huntington Beach is still, and I'll be sharing the motions. It's going to be an open book. And my entire strategy from when I discovered I was targeted on November 21, 2007, and I'm going to have on there my entire strategy, what I did, any mistakes I made or how this. But in the end, it's worked out great. In the end, I think actually there are things that I'm going to be sharing, maybe on the website or certainly in the book, that I have not shared, and what I had to get through, what I've had to do to get to this point. I don't think they thought I'd get to this point. I probably should not have. The things I had to do to get to this point, and I'll be sharing that on my website, on my personal website.
Yeah. Well, it's a testament to your perseverance, and your integrity, and just sort of holding on, your resoluteness, determined to continue the fight, because that in a sense is what this is. It's such a long-term fight, isn't it? So Jack, what is happening with targeted justice? We all got that letter from you. You said it was an open letter to the targeted individual community. You were engaging in litigation. And I forget what exactly you wrote in that letter, but basically you were saying you were suing certain people from targeted justice, right? Did you want to elaborate on what exactly that's all about?
Sure, of course. And, when targeted justice started, I was invited by Midge, and I was so excited. And I remember I respected Richard Lighthouse at the time, and I was thrilled to be part of that organization. And we met in Texas in December of 2017. And everything was great. We're going to have this big class action lawsuit. And and I remember when we started having the meetings, and then the board wasn't even invited, and I wanted everyone there, and then I remember saying, let's have a game plan. Let's schedule things, and Richard Lighthouse, real name Winter Owen Calvert, was telling me, no, we can't do that yet, and I started seeing it. I was, it wasn't going to go as I was thinking. And then he started, posting this research that was bogus. So I challenged that. And it was, because here's the thing, it's, one of the titles for the book, if I, one of the titles possibly for the book is called Aligning Parallel Worlds, because the targeting world, it's like over here, then there's the real world. We have to align those. We have to, they've been successful at putting us in our own world. No, this is real.
Great way of putting it. Absolutely.
These are real crimes. Everything's real. So we need to work in the real world. And we need positive media coverage. We need meetings with politicians, which we're all working. We need lawyers to represent us, right? And we need all these different things, and donations from stuff like that for the lawsuits. And so, we have to, the best way to do this is the Martin Luther King way, and peaceful protest. And so and also no bogus research. Let's deal with reality. And even like the scan reports and stuff like that. If they're not being as effective as we would want them to be, from the different doctors that provide those. I don't have to mention names, but we need to deal with that. Then fine. If the court doesn't like them, then fine. Let's get together and have those doctors meet with lawyers and kind of thing. And what do we need to do? And then let's improve on it. But we can't just lie about it, and we have to deal with reality. And so the targeted justice was not going the right route. And then we find out he's doing what's slangly called doxing. He was accusing people of these crimes, which they've stolen 12 years of my life. I'm as angry as anyone. I'm really angry. I'm going to be confronting legally and properly, but I'm going to be more aggressive, legally and properly. You always have to say that. But I'm as angry as anyone, but we have to do it the right way, and so by accusing people because of their title doesn't do anything, because we don't know if they're really involved. There are lots of people that don't know. It would almost be like the government's doing something, and they put as a spokesperson, they put the person out there as a spokesperson that doesn't have a clue what's going on, and they, so there are lots of people that don't know what's going on. So anyway, so he accuses them of these crimes and without any evidence, and then he lists their home addresses and their family names. And there's two parts about that. One, it's the ethical part of it, and then there's the legal part of it. On the ethical part of it, it just doesn't look good. It just doesn't look good that we're threatening moms and dads, we're accusing them of crimes and listing their home addresses. It just doesn't look good. It's not effective. What good does it do? They probably don't even know it's on there, but the FBI and law enforcement, they know it's on there, and they'll use it against us. It doesn't do any good.
Isn't that precisely what the FBI like to do? They like to target activists who are advocating actions that are questionable and dubious,
and that's what was going on. What good does it do? And if that's what the organization was going to do in the first place, then they should have said so, but they didn't, right? If they're going to be some kind of organization where they're making threats, then I wouldn't have got involved, and most people would not have got involved. We didn't. So it was not even what the organization was designed to do in the first place. And so and then on that January 26, 2019 is when we found out that he was also recommending that people submit false information to the government, which to mess up, in his words, make useless and a joke, the terrorist watch list of the FBI. Now maybe those are unconstitutional. We're going to work through the courts, but you can't just report false information on the terrorist watch. That's a federal crime. It would be like if someone was in prison wrongly, one of us, we can't just go there and break them out, right? It's like, it doesn't look good, and you're going to get caught. And but you do everything you can to get them out, but you can't break them out. So you can't just attack so the FBI would and has left that on there just to make us look bad. And so submitting false information to the government is a federal crime, I've alleged. and we're in court for it now. And it's related to terrorism. Of course, it's related to terrorism because it's on the terrorist watch list. So that's how they could word it. And how are we going to ever get favorable anything when here's this targeted justice group doing this? And so when I found that out, I tried to resolve it through internally, many emails, and we went back and forth. And Midge for a while was agreeing with me, and but Richard Lighthouse got to her, I believe, and many times, and then so he was saying no, he's going to continue. And so so it's like, I'm not going to just deal with this and just have everyone not sure what to do. So I said, well, let's let law enforcement decide then. If you say this, I say this, and because I'm not going to let you tell our members this, because I know better. I have law experience. I know better. I was a legal director. It was my job. I was the legal director. They asked me to be the legal director. They asked me to be in the board of directors. That was my job. If it's anyone's job, it was my job. And so, I contacted the FBI, and then I've tried different ways. I tried different ways to stop him, and they went. And then even recently, I filed in small claims court, which would have been very painless. It's not really even a trial. It would have been no discovery. It would have been fast, no appeals. But he responded, and Midge just copied his response, and they attacked me. And they didn't respond to the allegations. They just attacked me. And they said lies. They actually lied to the court. They lied to the court. It's just like, this isn't going to work. And so luckily I had time to transfer it to the civil division. And that's what I did. The court granted it. And here we are. And I amended the complaint. I amended the complaint. And now we'll go on.
Jack, you obviously have felt very strongly about this to have called the FBI, but many people, are particularly concerned about that particular aspect. So I wanted to ask you, what was it really that made you feel so strongly about it that you felt you needed to call the FBI in this matter?
Because I think the FBI, and they have, would just leave that on there on the internet. By the way, it's not like Richard Lighthouse told us that he robbed a bank and he got $10,000. He's going to give it to targeted justice. And I said, that's wrong. I'm going to report that. Right. It was not a secret. This is, and I snitched on him or something. It's not that. This is public. It's public. It's on the public internet. They see it anyway. So
everybody sees it. Yeah.
It's on the public internet. They would see it, of course. They have thousands of people that are checking these things. So it was.
So you presumed the FBI was already keeping tabs and already.
Well, they would have that already. So I was telling the FBI and everyone, no, we do not approve of this. This is not us. This is not.
So that was your intention, to assure the FBI that even though this information was published on a website that you are associated with, an organization you are associated with as legal director, that you are not.
I was the legal director.
Personally associated with this.
If it's on anyone, it's on me, the legal director. Right. And it's like, no, this is not. You're not going to have this on there. No. And I'm right. And I mean, can you imagine if CNN, if Anderson Cooper or somebody had his website, or even the CNN website, and he's saying to do these crimes? There'd be an outrage to have him fired and prosecute everything. There'd be an outrage. Any business would never, no business, no civil rights organization in the world would allow their members to be threatening families of government employees and trying to attack the terrorist watch list. Tell me one. There is.
Sorry, I don't think I have
Richard
an
Lighthouse and targeted justice, and they're using me, and it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Don't invite me on the organization if you're going to do crimes, and that's what happened. And so, I did my ethical, my fiduciary duty, and to let everyone know, and even now telling people, it's like, yeah, if I'm on an organization, I want people to tell me, right, if the organization is involved in crimes, well, I was the legal director. So if it's anyone's job to stop this, it's mine, because I strongly feel, and by the way, these are just two things. There's probably 25 with him. There's so many things he's done, and everything is discredited. Even when they had their rally, in Washington, D.C. last year, you know, putting the mustaches on people and calling the CIA the clowns and stuff. It's just, you know, these are real crimes. You're not supposed to mock it or make fun of the crime being done to you. You know, just everything he does is just to discredit people. And so, and the fact that he's been protected so far, I mean, people are saying, you know, that speaks for itself. And by the way, I've gotten like 30 responses, and like 28 of the 30 were like super positive. Everyone's happy. So, you know, and so, yeah, and I have an injunction to have a court order for him to stop this. And like I said, it discredit. What good does it do? It doesn't do any. This is not funny. This is our lives. They've stolen 12.5 years of my life. This is not funny. And everyone else is going through pain as well. And so this is not funny. This is not, I'm so tired. It's personal. This is an attack on me and each one of us. When he does this, it's an attack on us, each one of us, because
these are real crimes against humanity. You know, these are very.
And by the way, even with and whether it's the police officers that are involved or mental health, anyone that's involved, it's you know, the federal government could not do this without local involvement. It's a team effort, and people are, you know, when and I'll tell that to city councils, and I will continue to. It's like when they point at the federal government, no, it's you. I'll tell the city council members, you know, that you know, even plain dumb, you know. And by the way, we have laws like accessory. You know, accessory after the fact. In California, people put 32. Accessory
they
after
all
the fact.
Are.
And that accessory after the fact, all that means is that means they weren't involved in any kind of abuse to us, and they weren't involved in it and at all. But if they have information on it and they are covering up the people and they know it's a felony and they're sitting on it, then they're actually an accessory to the crime itself. You know, and so people don't know these laws. So it's our job, it's my job, it's our job to educate people and advise them of this stuff. And so, yeah. And where's the class action lawsuit? It's just never going to happen. You know, it's just never going to happen, because how can you do a class action lawsuit when what law firm is going to want to represent you if you're involved if you're allegedly involved in terrorism? What law firm is going to want to go, oh yeah, I want to represent you, and who's going to donate money for that lawsuit?
Do you think any law firm looking at the Targeted Justice website is also likely to be concerned, just as you are concerned?
Yes, and like I said with that Orange County case, and I will post that. I will post that motion that they wrote last year. I will post it on my website and show you. And it's a fact that I was involved in all these organizations, and that's the one which I was not involved with Targeted Justice, but they thought I still was. They didn't know I was no longer involved, and so they made a mistake. But the point is that's the one they chose to discredit me. They chose Targeted Justice to discredit me, because that's what they do. That's what law firms do when you're in litigation. They just look for anything. You know, it's so funny. She even told me, I have all emails. I can supply everything. I have the emails, and we had phone calls. And she told me, actually, it was an email. She told me that she told me, and she was honest with me. And I mean, she told me that she was honest with me, that she told me that she scoured. She said, this is what we do. I scoured. And she looked back for 2 years, anything about me. And the word, I was glad she found nothing. She said what she found was, she said the one time I said at a city council meeting, like, I'm going to demand justice. It's like, well, yeah, I am going to, but she was saying that's a threat. I'm like, no, it's not. But anyway, but she was telling me that's what they do. That's what they do. And we're all going to be in litigation, either with our big federal lawsuit or even with your own lawsuits. That's what they're going to do. And we don't need this stuff. You know, if you're involved with Targeted Justice, then with me, it's a fact. They tried to use it against me in a case.
That's really
if I was still with them,
Jack.
they would have succeeded. They would have succeeded if I was still with them, but I wasn't.
Jack, that's really interesting, because it suggests from this experience you've had with this particular lawyer and this law firm that that the implication is that your association with Targeted Justice was problematic and detrimental to any further litigation.
Why'd they bring it up? They went on for, I think, was it a page? Maybe half a page, but it might have been a page. I have to check. But yeah, I will share that, and that's a fact. That's what they did. Why? That had nothing to do with with the case. They were just trying to discredit me,
Okay.
and that's what they
There's a
chose.
couple other
So
things.
go
There's a
ahead.
couple other things I wanted to ask you about, Dr. Justice. You said they've tried to discredit you, as you're saying right now, and you've also talked a little bit about how, you were on the board of directors, you were a legal director. But is there something associated with that? Did you leave of your own volition? What happened
No,
over there?
what happened is um, it was January 25 or 26, whatever Friday is when I discovered it. I called for an emergency board meeting, and with the three other directors on the board, and it never happened. But then I did talk to Midge that night, and she was very, very she was agreeing with me, and we were making good progress. But like I said, something happened, and then all of a sudden, Snow Lighthouse wrote back to me. Winter Owen Calvert wrote back to me. He's not going to stop. He's going to continue. And I thought it would get worse, and it did. It did get worse after that even. So he said that, and so I wrote back. I told him, I said, I'm going to contact the FBI and the law enforcement if you should take this down, because it's on me. And by the way, this is a civil rights organization, a nonprofit organization. We had members, right? I'm representing the members. It's not even just about me. It's about our members, the targeted justice members. I have to represent them. If I did not take action, they could sue me.
Mm-hmm.
If I didn't take action, they could probably sue targeted justice, right? I mean, that's how it works with a nonprofit. And
So you felt personally responsible just because of your position,
I'm on the board
your
of directors.
professional position.
Board of directors have liability, civil liability. Now it's not negligence, it's gross negligence, the liability. It's a fact, anyone can Google it. It's called gross negligence. And gross negligence means it's not as bad. Negligence means you can get sued for lots of stuff. Gross negligence means you can get sued only if you knew there's a problem and you don't take care of it. That's what Google it. That's what gross negligence is. So if I knew there's a problem, if I didn't take care of it, that's gross negligence. I could get sued. And the other board members could get sued. Midge, Susan, Ella. They could get sued. I was protecting them, the board of directors. That's my job, legal director. And all the members, I'm protecting them. So he's saying no. He's just bowling his way through. And so I said, well, then fine, I'll contact law enforcement. If you think you're telling me there's nothing wrong with it, so why do you care then? Why would they even care? I called the FBI. It's on the public internet. So I went back once, twice, told the FBI, and when they found out, then they said you're off the board. And it was because I reported on the FBI. It's because I did my job as legal director of targeted justice. And they fired me.
Well, that was the point at which I guess you stepped out of TJ and decided, as legal director, you needed to take some action to protect, as you say, the membership, the other directors on the board, to protect your own position, to protect the organization. You took that action. But so you felt that at this point, your attempts to internally address the issue by speaking to Midge and Richard Lighthouse, I guess,
and
Winter
everyone, yeah,
Calvert, had failed. They weren't responding. They weren't, listening to you or seeking to take your advice.
Yeah, that Friday I found out. I must have made 20 phone calls. I think I even called you. I'm not sure if I had the correct number. I was calling. By the way, I just want to say when they retaliated, when they retaliated against me by kicking me off the board, that's actually a federal crime as well, and that's actually 10 years in prison. Retaliation for retaliation against someone, which is what it was.
Is that part of your lawsuit? You're suing them for
Well,
retaliation?
yeah, but I'm not asking for them to be put in prison or anything. But technically they could be. But I'm not asking for that. But yes, it is part of the lawsuit. Yeah, but on the civil side, but yeah, if you retaliate against someone for reporting a crime or even a potential crime, even a possible crime, that's what the law says. It's up to 10 years in prison. And so, but I'm not pushing for that. I don't, but it's wrong. It's just wrong. And, but the whole thing stems from, I'm not going to let, this has been going on for so long, this targeting, myself 12 and a half years. it's not just going to go the same games they play to discredit us, whatever, and just
We're being
all these
interfered
different
with
things. No,
again.
I'm just tired. What's that?
There's somebody cutting in. I can hear some music in the background,
Oh,
and
sorry.
it's just coming in through my speakers. If you
Okay.
just want to repeat that last bit that you said.
I was saying that, yeah, I'm just tired of this. I'm tired of there's the there's the discrediting, which COINTELPRO was organizations, and they discredit them, make them look bad. And as far as I'm concerned, that's what it looks like this is. So there's the discrediting, there's the delay tactics, delay and stall, and just and then there's the discontent strategy. There's one or two people, but one especially, I guess I don't have to mention her name, but she was it two, but there was one especially, and she was telling me to drop the lawsuit. It's just like, why would you want me to drop the lawsuit? And comments like, you can just get in more trouble. It's like, are you kidding me? What do you mean? This is my life. Get in more trouble. There's nothing else in life. This is my life. There's nothing else. When they do remote neural monitoring, they're violating your body, and they're using these weapons on you to shock parts of your body. Are you kidding me? There is no life except for this. Our founding fathers, and Patrick Henry, who wrote that speech, give me liberty, you give me death, on March 23rd, 1775, and a month later is when the Revolutionary War started. And they did violence. We're not doing violence. He had that speech, I know not what others might do, but as for me, give me liberty or give me death. That's what I'm saying too. But this is way worse. The British weren't violating their bodies. The British were shocking their body parts, causing pain, violating their privacy. The United States of America is infinitely times worse than the British ever were. And they had the same mindset that I have. Give me liberty or give me death. I don't care. There's nothing they can do to me. There's no threat. It's whenever I hear that, I have to roll my eyes. It's like, you don't understand, I think, to that person. There's nothing else in life. This is my life. I mean, and I've said this to people, and they go, well, a lot of people are going through trouble. Okay, fine. But I'm talking about myself. I'm talking about myself. There's nothing else in life. I cannot enjoy life. This is the only enjoyment I get is fighting back. And so it's a war, but we're fighting peacefully with pen and paper and speaking. But otherwise, it's a war. So
it is most definitely a war against those who are, doing this to us. But clearly, when in your particular case, because you've been the legal director, you've been inside this organization, and now this huge disagreement, which has erupted into the public space because of information on the website, information to membership, etc., has come to a point where you are stepping away and you are suing them for a whole host of things, right? Looking at your complaint, yes, including retaliations.
Right. Well, exactly. Well, the complaint alleges breach of duty, breach of board of director duty, and wrongful termination and defamation, and there's little parts within that as well. Those are the three main ones, and so both the crimes related to terrorism that I've alleged, and I use that word alleged because that way we haven't proven it yet, so that, as well as the what's called doxing, making intimidation and threats to employees. If you want the explanation on that, I mean, he has said so many times it's legal to post addresses, and he lists a couple websites. Well, yeah, it is legal to post addresses, but not when
it's highly inadvisable, right?
Yeah,
to post addresses.
And there's actually a United States code exactly.
Privacy.
There's a United States code exactly on that. You cannot do it when you, and the reason why he's doing, and Yes, and the reason why he's doing it is to intimidate. There's no other reason for it. That's why, and that's why it's there. It's to intimidate. There's no other reason. So it's clearly it's as direct as you can get. And he keeps telling everyone he's lying to the community. I think it's intentional. I mean, lying, not just misleading. I will say lying, because I have explained this to him, and many other people understand it, and he just continues on with the same thing. And he says it's legal to post letters, but he doesn't address part 2 of the sentence, which is, but you cannot do that to intimidate. And that's why he's doing it. He's not selling it just for information purposes. He's saying they're responsible for your crimes. It's a violation of the federal law. And if we were that kind of organization, then I guess he could do that. Well, actually, no, he couldn't, because it's still a violation of the law. But we're not. We're supposed to be, I was legal director on the board of directors. We have to do things peacefully. How does that help us get donations, like I said, and law firms and public articles, positive articles from media and meetings with politicians, everything we're doing, which most of the community is doing it this way. It hurts. It does not help. And so, and then even now he's saying that he has court cases. No, he doesn't. The court case, he names a court case. It has nothing to do with, as a defense, with what he's doing. So
you don't think that targeted justice is doing anything in terms of court cases, which is what they have been saying from the beginning, right? That's something that they've been publishing on your website.
That was our main thing from the very start. That was the main thing. In fact, becoming a nonprofit, I think that was my idea, I think, at the meeting and at the December meeting. But the main idea in the very beginning was to file a lawsuit. Yeah, class action lawsuit. That was the purpose. There's no other purpose.
So you don't think that's going to happen? Because a lot of people, pin a lot of hope, I think, on targeted justice. And they have for years, although you also hear, as you've heard now from various people writing back to you, that people have become very skeptical.
Well, and I want everyone to know that we do plan. Not only are we doing these local lawsuits, and Ray and I have talked about it. He thinks like me as far as, you need a cause of action. You need the actual, locals better, and you have their name and you have the facts. But we're still going to do the federal lawsuits. And by the way, we don't need to get into the details. But
when you say we, Jack, can I correct you over there, because you are out of targeted justice at this point, right?
Obviously. Right. Well, not targeted justice. No. I mean the community.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for.
So can I ask, and this is something we were going to do as we came to the close of this interview, where we are right now, I think. What are you doing right now? Are you working with anyone else? Are you doing, is Targeted America still alive? Because when I last spoke to you, you were working on Targeted America with Karen Stewart and Hope Franklin and Anne Marie Anderson and other people. So we've not heard anything about Targeted America since then. Has that ended? Is it sort of on ice?
No. It's a long story, but Targeted America is still alive, but it has changed, as in well, yeah, with I'll have to be careful of any. I don't want to do defamation, but Anne Marie had a problem with Hope Franklin, and said Hope defamed her, and I would agree with Anne Marie if she did, but I read it, and Hope did not defame her, not even slightest. I know law, and I told Anne Marie that I'm not going to demand that Hope withdraw her comment. I would have if it was defamation, but she did not do defamation, so I'm not going to demand that from Hope. And Anne Marie, got upset with me, and just really went off, and we had at it, and and Anne Marie did her own defamation, in my opinion, and even unlawful things. She even admitted unlawful things that I've not taken action on, and that kind of, and then she got Karen involved, and Karen, Karen doesn't want to get involved. And she didn't want the threat of Anne Marie, so Karen resigned, and it just, that's what happened. But it's still alive. I just renewed the website, and I just been so busy with these lawsuits and just everything with working and my lawsuits. Oh, it's gonna continue, and I'll figure it out. I mean, even last week, I've had like 5 or 6 people offer to help. Want to get involved. People want to help with websites.
Okay.
People want to help me with a nonprofit. People want to help. All kinds of things. I've had 5 people at least were offering help. I'm so busy. I just really can't organize that right now.
So is that your primary, rights organization that you are going to be working within then, Targeted America, or are you going to be
Target America? And yes, because and also, so I'll get that going, and I'll start sending out newsletters, and so that's going to be, there's Target America, correct, and then there's Targeted Evidence, just has all the evidence. I'm going to have my own website as well. That'll be my personal website. And
John,
all
I
these things
think you were completely kind of frozen out for the last 20 seconds or so. So if you could just repeat that bit.
So Target America is still going to be, yes, that's the civil rights organization, and and that's the organization, and maybe I'll make it a 501c3. Maybe I'll do that. I have to make sure, and then there's Targeted Evidence, which is all the evidence we have on there, which is like court admissible evidence, and then a website, Life of John Christiana, with my personal story. The lawsuits are all going to be on there. Everything. I'm going to have, my life will be an open book, and everything I've done, there's a reason for it, and it's all going to be explained on there, and I'll explain what I've done. But then also I'll explain, like I said, the burglaries, the car burglaries, the vandalism, the tires exploding on the way to a court trial, the drugging me, the planting drugs, the psychiatric doctors' false diagnosis, the medical doctors, and everything everything I just told you, I have documentation, everything, because I know people have said these things and it's hard to believe, right? When it's not you. I have documentation, and I'll supply it. And I even thought, if I write a book, I will not only do a declaration that under penalty of perjury this is true, I'll even take a polygraph test, because everything I say, gospel truth. I'll take a polygraph test that I wrote this book, blah, 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 and everything is in there is truthful. And then I'll get the results and I'll put that in the book. No one's ever done that, but are these stories targeting so, off the charts that I probably will have to. And then I have the PET scan to prove that I don't have schizophrenia, so they have to take, and courts have already accepted that. I've already had, like I said, 2 judges, 3 really, but 2 in writing. I've had accept that positron emission tomography scan, because it's by a medical doctor, and that's another thing we can all approach in the community, is how we work on this by medical doctors, get evidence that's more admissible. But so yes, I do plan to do all these things. I plan to speak next week at a meeting, and it's going to be, as far as by far, my best talk yet. I will share that with everyone. It's going to talk about domestic terrorism. And
is this a city council meeting that you're talking about?
If you go to a meeting, a county. But I'll do city councils when they open up. I'll do city council when they open up. But right now they're closed because of COVID-19. I want to do it to the city councils, but they're the council members are meeting like off site, by camera and stuff. I want to wait until it's a regular meeting. But the county they've already started back up with regular meetings, and so I will explain. And if I just speak up against and say it's domestic terrorism, they would just scoff and roll their eyes and go, yeah, right. But I have the code. I have the United States Code 2331, and there's 3 elements on it. And here's the elements, and here's what's happening. It's a perfect match. This is domestic terrorism. And I can tell them they're responsible for domestic terrorism, and we have the laws like accessory. I say, maybe you're not involved, fine, but you have information on it. You're an accessory. And I think we can actually, and we'll have everyone do this and make sure that they can meet, the elements, and that'll get people's attention. Instead of calling it a PERT program, right, or whatever, and it's just like in our own little world, we use our own words. We have to call it what it is. And it's and like I said, 12 years, and just in the last 6 months or so is when I realized it's actually domestic terrorism, and it is. And this is the most mind-boggling thing, how our country could be involved in domestic terrorism. And I'll tell you why, because no one's made that connection. So I'll be doing that next week. And I don't want to just do a meeting, a little talk in my room. I want to go to the supervisors meeting and tell them there, and have it,
Pretty fabulous. Hope you're taking a filming team with you.
Yes, thank you. Yes, and record it. And then that recording, I'll send that to FBI. I'll send that to law enforcement all over the country, media, governments, everywhere.
Brilliant.
And it's just they need to get a life. Just end this thing. Get a life. I mean, what's their problem?
This is absurd what's gone on, what's happened. But these people think they're in the New World Order or something. Fascist government, tyranny. That seems to be their modus operandi.
Exactly. And that's the dilemma. On the one hand, people go, oh, you can't do that. It's just the program's too powerful. And you have law enforcement, you have the government. It's just, there's no way to ever stop this. And then there's the other side, which is like, how can it not be stopped?
Exactly. It's like, what on earth is going on? How could this possibly be happening? Be stopped?
This is not America. Totally. It's like and there's just so many stories. Like I went to Walmart one time and they were targeting me. And then I sat in my car, I was on the phone trying to figure out what to do next. And then some guy came out and all of a sudden it's like, he says, oh, we can help you out. And then I go back in there and he tells the guy, he's like, well, they told me to do that. And it's just like, so it hit me that at that time that there's a war within themselves, right? Even within themselves, there's like, good and bad. And they're fighting among themselves, and in that particular week, it happened twice and the good went over bad. And so it's just, I believe it's just public exposure. It's public awareness.
Absolutely. I'm totally with you on that. The more we have these conversations and the more, people like you go and talk at meetings, and confront them in their own space, the ripple effect of public exposure is going to create change.
Yeah, and it's and of course we're going to get better. It's like I give the analogy, like if you wrote a paper in college or in high school, and you wrote this paper, and let's say it's half your grade, and it's an essay, and you turn it in at the very end. Okay, fine, you do okay. But what if you could turn that into the teacher like a month before it's due, and the teacher marks it up and grades it and gives it back to you? Now you turn it in. Now you're going to do much better, right? Well, that's targeting. With our lawsuits, that's our lawsuits. We're going to get better every time. Everything we do, city council meeting, it's just a matter of time. So it's not all this time lapse.
You have such a marvelous.
In my situation, 12.5 years. They think, oh, we can't do it. No, it's just 12.5 years. I'm ready to go. Like I said, just everything. We're in a better situation, so I'll be contacting everything. It's just time,
You have such a marvelous forward thinking, forward looking.
I'm gonna
Jack. I think we have a little bit of audio.
Thank you very much. And exactly, I thought I can understand why they chose me. And then now, for the same reasons, is why it was a mistake to choose me. Because they, and by the way, I've thought about this. It's really insulting. I mean, if you think about it, when they're targeting us, they're disrespecting us. They think we're stupid.
Oh my God!
They think we can't figure out how to end it. It's really personal. And all I gotta do is, I remember the first time at the city of Huntington Beach. I remember I was talking the first meet and confer call I did, and his name was Scott Fields. He's still with the city staff at the city of Huntington Beach. And I remember I said, what would you do? And I'm talking about, like if you were me, what would you do? Like, wouldn't you file lawsuits? Wouldn't you fight back? I mean, of course, right? And so that's all I have to say to everyone is, what would you do every time you talk to them? What would you do? Are you going to think like, fine, just accept it? You get to be abused and shocked for the rest of your life. Wouldn't you think you're going to end it too? Well, of course they would. So I said that to him. I said, what would you do? He says, I can't give you legal advice. I said, no, you're missing the point. It's a rhetorical question. I'm not asking you for legal advice. I was saying, I'm trying to make people understand that wouldn't you fight back? Wouldn't you speak up? Wouldn't you file lawsuits? Wouldn't you, for the rest of your life, fight and get your freedom back? Give me liberty or give me death? Wouldn't you do that? Well, and the answer is yes, if they're worth anything. So why would they think I'm not going to? And so it's just ridiculous. But, and it's, by the way, as far as the way it's gone for me, 12.5 years, if you look at my personal life, you might say, okay, it's not good because I've lost 12.5 years of my life, but it's better for the country. It's better for the system. It's worked out great. And this is not about me. I really am at that point. It sounds, maybe not sincere, but I really am at the point where it's about our country. It's about the community. It's about exposing and stopping this program. And so, and then in the end, I really think that, we're all gonna look good for fighting this and winning. And so in the end, it is gonna be better for us. Fine, we 12 and a half years so far. I've lost no house, no wife, no picket fence, which I would have I was, when it started, I was engaged. We were gonna start a business together, a mountain climbing business. I was making good money. Everything was, I was doing my motivational talks from climbing the mountains around the world. And you mentioned that in the very start. And yeah, the targeting started just after my record. And so it was a crazy night, and I called my parents that night. What's going on?
Oh, you've been cut off.
I did.
You were telling a story, Jack, I think, but you were cut off as you just started it. Um, they froze you just when you said, I think, yeah, you think your targeting started after your record.
My targeting started after my world climbing record, and I had two website guys, and they both were doing it right, and they both messed up, and they both started doing it wrong, and I couldn't figure it out. And then it was a second guy that started saying all these things, that he was the guy that tipped me off, my website guy. And it was, I think I pissed people off because of a world record, and no regrets, but I pissed them off, and people just, that's fame and fortune,
Yeah, absolutely. And Jeff, you are a standout person, obviously, no, hands down, no doubts about it. You are exceptional, with the work that you've done and your incredible mountain climbing records, etc. You stand out. And it seems to me, just looking across at the range of people who are being targeted today and who have been over the last 10 years, it's people who stand out like you, who are being targeted for a takedown, because clearly there is a very dark power faction that is afraid of people like you. And people like me, people who speak out, people who stand out, and who are striving to erase us from reality and from society. And it's a testament to your fortitude and your courage that you have refused to accept that fate that they have attempted to thrust on you, and you've stood up and fought back, and you have such incredible fighting spirit. And I think we, watching you and listening to you, are all grateful that you've taken the stand that you have. So when you say you've done good things for the country, I would fully agree, and I think everyone listening would fully agree. Jack, what would you suggest for other people? Because a lot of people have sort of blindly put their faith in things like large surveys, large class actions, somebody leading the fray kind of thing, like an organization like Targeted Justice. Where should people be putting their real focus and their energy and their interest in stopping the targeting against themselves to start with, and against everyone else as well?
That's an excellent question. And it's the question. And I've looked at things as I need to get everything in order on my own. I need to get my Life of John Christiana website finished. It's going to be very effective. And then the Targeted America, and then work with others and do a class action. And I'm on the Alliance to End Targeting, and we were going to have a May rally in Washington D.C., which would have been 2 weeks ago, but of course COVID-19. It's rescheduled to September 12th or 13th, but it's not inked in yet. So we're not sure. And that's like a bunch of leaders, from different organizations. And I even put together a flow chart one time, and I was saying, okay, when do we want to win? Kind of what you're saying here. Like I was telling everyone, who was it, that said, his quote, I forget his name, but the quote is, I remember the quote. The quote is, without clearly defined goals, we become Robert Heinlein, without clearly defined goals, we become strangely loyal to performing daily trivia until ultimately we become enslaved by it. And so we have to have goals. So when do we want to win? Okay, so let's pick out a year from now. Okay, what has to happen for us to win? And then and then here we are now. There's the end. What do we got to do? It's just so simple. And let's just get there. And
That's a great
that's
way
what
of
they try to
looking.
do. Yeah, and they that's what they've been doing, trying to just get us not to have goals written down and not have deadlines. And so I just been really busy, so I want to get that in order. But that's what we got to do, and I'll work with people, so right now, so it's kind of it's things I got to do. I got to finish the part on how to represent yourself. I haven't finished that part yet, on Target America.
Takes time.
And
I know.
it's my website, Life of John Christiana, and so I've been distracted just with work and stuff. But see, the work is good though, because I have money to spend on these things, and so I look at that as important. But
You're doing so much, it
it'll get
sounds like.
done.
But yeah, and you're talking about your own organization and the work that you are doing for others. Do you have any advice for people to do things on their own for themselves?
So, well, I say that because like when I do the city council meeting or the Orange County supervisor meeting next week, then so I'll post that, so then people can kind of use that and see what I did, and then they can do it their own. I tell people to document. I have really, not only did I get the PET scan to prove I don't have an illness, I have contemporaneous notes. It's a good to answer your question. I have heard more than once from lawyers that contemporaneous notes are good. Contemporaneous means at the present time. So if you take notes and if someone just says, "Oh, I was directing entry weapons, for 2016 to 2020," well, what does that mean? I mean, I believe them, but I mean, what does that mean? It's like the jury later on, or a court, or anything, is going to think you maybe you made a mistake, maybe you forget, it could be off. But if you take contemporaneous notes and you have a journal, and I do,
Right.
and I have them all
So
right here,
that's
and
a
I have them
huge
saved.
thing,
I have them
right?
saved as well. I have years and years and years, where I wrote down the exact time, and that took up a lot of my time actually for a long time. And I actually did a video the day I stopped that. I did a video. It was like a big day for me. And but anyways, I was just that. I was just contemporaneous notes. So if whatever they do, whatever part of your body they're doing it, write down, get a journal. Just get one of those $12, journals off Amazon or whatever. And they have the day of the week, and they have times in there and stuff. And you don't have to use their times, just write your own times. And write it down, and then save that stuff, and then put that on a website. And even Life of John Christiana, I don't even have the main page done yet, but the second page, it says like torture notes, if anyone goes there. I actually have some of my journal notes pages already on there, actually. And
That's fabulous.
in fact, in one part's like it says 5 weeks. It says 5 weeks in the life of me. And it's just pure blue ink all the times. I write down left eye. I have a column for left eye, and I write out 12:01 a.m., 12:13 a.m., 12:14 a.m. Every single time. I did that for 5 years. It's incredible time consuming, but it's worth it because I want the world to know what it's like. That's a factual. I'll pass a polygraph, not only under oath, I'll pass a polygraph test because it's true. And if I ever was like in church or something and I didn't have the exact time, then later on I'd feel squiggly like about that time. I mean, that way, if there's no squiggly, then it was that time. I can vouch for it. And so contemporaneous notes would be good. They're all just standing there like, why are you looking at me? You have to be prepared and have a little video in your pocket or something, little camcorder. And if they see your recording, they might not target you then, right? So it's good to have
recording is a big deal. Yeah, actually, a lot of people say that their cell phones are battery drained and such. Mine is too when you're out trying to record. But you could also carry a digital camera, record by any means. I think various people, I think Anthony Netchi from Australia uses these sunglasses that have a spy camera in them. There's all sorts of things you can do, I think, but recording and filming the horrific targeting and stalking activities against you are so important. And basically, what you're saying, suggesting by loading everything to a website, you're making it very public. But in a sense, that is where we are today. You know, in America and in the world today, we are at the point where it's gotten so bad that if we do not do sort of an all-out, complete major push to expose this completely and utterly, it's never going to stop. This is like the new normal for certain governments, certain groups, certain factions, certain agencies, and they've got to be called out. They've got to be stopped in their tracks, you know, and this is the only way to do it, as you suggest. Just putting
Exactly. And
out
we have
the
to get more, and we're at a good place. We're at a really good place with all this evidence we have now. And, you know, with lawsuits, and when everyone starts doing it right, when everyone just think, what if we have 50 or 100 of these lawsuits that are, and what I'll do is I already started and I'll finish soon. I can't give a day right now, but you know, when you write the cause of action, the complaint, when you write it correctly, you'll get past the early dismissals. And the problem has been people have not written it correctly, and that's why they get dismissed so quickly. And it's like they'll say it's targeting. If you call it targeting, don't call it targeting. Call it what it is. Is it shocked your eyes? Is it
That's
shocked your
right.
body parts? Is it
Yeah.
Call it what it is? Like, even I wouldn't even mention the companies, but even stores. I get, you know, I hate to say it because then maybe they'll start up again, but certain stores, they were targeting me for months. It was just terrible. So I wrote to the store manager. I got his email and I wrote to the store manager, and I didn't say they're targeting me. I said they're the bad customer service. They're doing this, they're doing that. I just stick with the facts. And guess what? It's been like perfect for
Wow.
6, 7, 8 months now. Perfect.
That's
Just
pretty
changed.
interesting. I think when
So you
you
stick with the
question it,
facts. Stick with the
you do
facts.
get
So
better service. Yeah.
yeah. So and so on the lawsuit, so if you write the cause of, you don't need the evidence to start, but you have to, but it's imperative that you write the cause of action properly. It's imperative. It's like
Brilliant.
math. It's like math. It's you know, sometimes a calculus might be difficult, and I think it was for me before I studied. And so it's difficult, but then once you read the book and once you know how to do it, then it's simple. It's a piece of cake. And that's what law is. And so once everyone turns the corner on that and knows how to write the complaint properly, you'll get past the early dismissals of demurs and motion strikes, and you'll get into discovery. You know, and then you learn how to do discovery correctly, and don't put it off. You got to do it like right away. You know, and so we'll get there. We'll get there, and you know, so that's what I would say. I would say take notes and just start documenting, and then I'll teach people. We'll finish that, how to do the lawsuits, how to speak, I'm at the point now where, like, if a police officer came to my door, and if I told them about targeting and they doubted me, I'd be like, give me your name, and I might consider filing a lawsuit against them. I'm just so tired of it. I'm just so past it. I'm been there, done that, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. It's too late at this point for this to be going on forever like this.
Yeah, and that's why it's so imperative that we, you know, here's the thing about the alleged crimes in that lawsuit, and I use that word just for now because it's not proven yet. We're in court of targeted justice, and that is, we're on the good side. We're the good people. We're on the rule of law. That's our advantage. Let's keep our advantage, you know, and you know, so that's our advantage. So we're the right people, and so I still have faith in people. I still have faith that when they realize what this really is, and then I think it'll change. And I know the forces against it, you know, and even, like I said, even recently, 1 or 2 people wrote back to me, mainly one really, and said, like, oh, drop that, or oh, you're asking for trouble, you know. It's just like, are you kidding? Like I said before, are you kidding me? It's like, trouble? Are you kidding? This is like the best thing of my life. It's like, this is everything. There's nothing else in life. That's what happens. That's what they've done to me. They've targeted me. When they attack when they're violating your privacy, shocking your body parts. I mean, why? To me, it's crazy that anyone would even think that anything else is more important. Even politics. Politics to me is not more important. This is more important than politics, that's how strong it is. Because normally politics is everything, right? For everyone, politics is everything. But when targeting becomes more important than politics, that's when you know you're really targeted. and they're attacking your life. And so
It's important to take a stand as you've taken, Jack. And so I think everyone watching is going to be so glad that you've spoken out and that you are taking the action that you're taking, and you're also sort of leading the way and creating a website and
thank you.
intending to present more sort of helpful and instructive information for others to kind of
And
follow in your
and I'll have
footsteps.
and I'll have a better thank you very much. And I'll have a better answer, Romola, to your question on what the community can do soon. I got to
Okay.
take care of a couple of my things, like I said, my websites, and I just got to get it done. And I am making progress actually, and
You'll get it done. These things initially take a little bit of time, but it'll get there.
it's a
You'll get
simple
it.
thing. It's a simple thing. I so get it done, and then I'll be in a position to then say, okay, here's the plan, and here's what we can do, and and then Congress, and then we'll meet with Congress, but again, like targeted justice is planning to go to meet Congress again. I mean, how is that going to look with them when they know you're threatening federal employees? Why would they take you seriously? Why would they give you a meeting if they know one of the main guys is threatening people? And it is against the law, despite what he says. And again, that's why he's telling everyone it's not against the law. I'm saying it is, and it is. And so some people don't know. They don't know the law, right? And so it's like, well, well, fine. Let's have a judge decide. There's your answer to why we're in court. Let's have a judge decide. Let's have a judge break that tie, because I know the answer. It's of course. It's like, I can't believe even a lawyer would even want to represent. But the lawyer was hired actually before I did that amended complaint. When I was in small claims, it was just a stupid little nothing. And then when I amended the complaint, it was a professional complaint, and it's much better. And so, but that's what it is. It's like, okay, fine. But again, it's about meeting Congress. Congress makes the laws. And, I'm all for meeting the FBI and confronting them. They're never going to admit it, though. They're involved. Why would they? I mean, it'd be crazy.
Yes, they are involved.
It's crazy for us to think they're going to admit it, And that's what, and also even the terrorist stuff and the threats, all the stuff that's alleged. Let's say the FBI is 5% bad, 10% bad. Let's say it's 10% bad. I don't know the exact number, but the 10%
really?
bad. Well,
they're very hopeful, Jack. I would say it's 95% bad, maybe 5% good.
10% really bad. Let's say then. So that 10% really bad is going to show that to the 90% good and say, see, they're terrible people. They're threatening law enforcement and employees. And so, but anyway, but regardless, you're right. Regardless, they're going to defend themselves. You're right. Regardless,
they will. Yeah, they never admit to anything, as we know, as we see them playing out.
Regardless, they're going to protect their own. Exactly. So we don't. That's not the answer. It's one of the avenues, but it's not the answer. It's Congress. Congress is the one that has to account to the people, and they're the ones that make the laws, and we need to organize that. And it would have already been done, but we had COVID-19. But irregardless, though, I'm going to go out there anyway. Even if they have everything closed, and I'll still go out there and I'll meet with Congress.
Fabulous.
And I've been encouraged to find out that it's not just your own congressman, but you can actually meet other congressmen as well. And so it's just going to happen. Here's the thing, Romola, is technically all the stuff I've done is a lot of good stuff, but technically I've not really done the stuff to win yet. And when I filed the federal lawsuit, I thought that would be it, but actually it was not written correctly. It was not written to win. It served a purpose. When I wrote my federal lawsuit, it served a purpose. It did serve a purpose. And look what I got. It pissed off the local police departments, and then I got lawsuits against them because they crossed the line and did crimes. Because they were pissed. I mean, I don't recommend this, but let me just tell you one little thing. When I was at the city of Huntington Beach and I was with my server to serve them, and I was talking out loud purposely, and I said, that police chief is my bitch. He's my bitch. And I don't recommend this, but that's what I did. I was just mad. And they heard it, and it pissed them off. And 3 weeks later, they lie about me and illegally detain me. They reacted. They screwed up. I didn't provoke them, but in a good way, right? I mean, so Because here's the thing, they make mistakes. Everyone thinks like the other side won't make mistakes. They're human beings. They're going to make mistakes, and they have. And we need to recognize them. And when they happen, act on it. And they're probably more prone to make mistakes than the average person because they're involved in crimes. They have to do a cover-up. So they're going to make mistakes, and when they make them, let's don't wait for this big for whatever. Let's act on those mistakes as they happen. That's what I'm doing, and that's what I'm doing
Absolutely.
with
You've
every
been
lawsuit.
taking a lot of action. Yeah, you've been taking a lot of action, and I hear you. You're suggesting the best is yet to come. Your most major magnum opus is around the corner. So we wish you the best on that, Jack.
Yes.
This has been an absolutely vast, informative and hugely useful conversation. So
Thank you.
thanks so much for spending so much time and providing so much information and also so much advice. We wish you the very best. And, any last words before we close?
That it's going to happen. On my Twitter, it says, "Give me liberty or give me death. One or the other will happen." And I'm talking about literally. I mean, I'm going to get my liberty, or they're gonna do something. And if I could just one last thing, everyone thinks that if it's David and Goliath, everyone thinks that the government's Goliath and we're David. The analogy I'll use is Muhammad Ali and a 4-year-old boy. So they might think that we're the 4-year-old boy and they're Muhammad. No, I think we're Muhammad Ali and our government is the 4-year-old boy. We are. In other words, Muhammad Ali, if he's in a boxing match against a 4-year-old boy, he's going to win no matter what. So Muhammad Ali can give the boy his strategy. He can tell him exactly what he's going to do, and he's still going to win. That's what we can tell the government our strategy. I don't care about them. It's wrong for them to spy and everything. It's totally, completely wrong, but I don't care. It doesn't matter. We have the winning hand. We have the 5 aces. We have the winning hand.
Absolutely. Exposing them is the winning hand. They,
The only
may
way for
think
them to win the only way for that little boy to win is to kill Muhammad Ali or to put drugs in his bag and he gets arrested. And if they try to dispose of us or set us up, whatever, because that's the only way they cheat. They know the only way for them to cheat is because this is being targeted all the time. It's going to happen and soon.
Yeah, absolutely. The petty retaliation was very much in action just now. They froze you out as you were speaking, but I heard the last part of what you said. So, absolutely, It is going to happen. And, we all look forward to it. But until then, we continue fighting the good fight and speaking out. So thank you so much, Jack. And thanks, everyone, for watching. And we'll see you again very soon. Best of luck, Jack, with everything. Talk
Thank
soon.
You.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye for now.
Bye.